Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me again for another Balancing My Shelves. Now this idea comes from the lovely Drinking by My Shelf. You have to check out their channel, amazing person, amazing videos, and they do something where they balance their shelves in terms of what comes in and what comes out. It also counts ebooks and audiobooks, etc. And I just want to focus on the physical books. So my video is all about making sure that there's a lot less books coming into my house physically than they're leaving. If you don't know, I am on a journey to get rid of 90% of my stuff, and that also includes my books. So I need books to leave my house. Every book that enters my house more than has left the house, I'm gonna have to do a punishment. I've gotten a couple of really fun punishments from all of you so far. It's from try to eat something that you've never tried before, do a reading vlog of a book that you didn't like and want to give a second try, over to reread 4 books that in a 24 and 48 hour challenge and vlog it, to your favorite recipes, a day in your life of cooking and eating. And if you have more challenges that you would want to throw in there, give them to me. I am currently setting up a little jar where I'm then gonna have to draw out for each book a challenge. I don't think that this is gonna happen this month, so the jar isn't ready yet, but I'm starting to prepare it. And yeah, feel free to add some more challenges to it, because every challenge that you're throwing my way, I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to put in there, and if I draw it, no excuse, I'm gonna have to do it, because this is serious shit. All right, let's get into it. What did we haul in September and October? Combining 2 months, because I was so busy with work beginning of October that I just didn't get to edit, so we're combining September and October. So let's get ready and see what we hauled and what we unhauled in September and October. Let's go. September haul. Technically it's September and August, because in July, beginning of August, I was traveling. When I came back, I couldn't determine which are from July and which are from August, and it was just a lot of books. I decided to combine them and make a cut in the middle of August, and now this is the haul for 1.5 months. Let's see how many books I'm going to be getting. I hope not as much, because I have enough. Like, my new moved in shelf is full. I need to read some of them first. All right, but I'm here because, well, I already, like, one day after I stopped filming this and said no more for a while, this one arrived. Oh my god, look at this cover. Isn't this gorgeous? This is done by Octavia E. Butler, and I am participating in the slow read along of all of Octavia E. Butler's work. We just finished the Pattern Master series, and we're diving into Dawn, which I believe is ethnofuturism again, and it might even dingle on the horror-esque side. I will be reading this in September, so I had to get it, and I actually wanted to own a copy because it's beautiful. I really like this style. So I did ask this, I believe, in another video lately. If I don't know much about a book, do you prefer to just hear why I got it, or do you want me to read what it's about? I sometimes feel like when somebody's reading what a book is about, it just doesn't feel as engaging, and I don't listen to it as much as if somebody is explaining it to me. But before I read it, I'm not going to be able to explain it to you, so you might have to wait for my wrap-up for me to do that. So let me know if you would want me to read this. I'm just gonna do it until I know if it's unnecessary. Dawn. When Lilith Iapo wakes from a deep sleep, she finds herself aboard a vast spaceship, haunted by confused memories of a nuclear war that ravaged the world. She discovers that she is being held by the Unhaul, a seemingly benevolent alien race that intervened in the human race's extinction, rescuing the survivors from their ruined planet and placing them in a coma-like sleep for centuries. Now the restored Earth is ready for inhabitants, and the Unhaul want Lilith to help awaken the rest of the survivors and rebuild humankind. But the Unhaul have needs of their own, and salvation comes at a price. Soon Lilith must choose how much of humanity she is willing to sacrifice for the future of her race. Oh, that sounds so good. I am so in the mood for this, like, sci-fi. I don't know, is it sci-fi or is it ethnofuturism? I'll have to look up what this is more categorized into. It sounds very sci-fi, and I'm absolutely here for it, and it's beautiful, and yes, I can't wait. And for these two, I'm unhauling Record of a Spaceborne Few and The Galaxy and the Ground Within. Loved these two, but read them, loved them. Bye. easy to open envelopes have additional tape. I'm assuming this is another book straight from the publisher. Yeah, Der Gesang der Berge by Nguyen Phan Ki Mai. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. So the English title is The Mountains Sing. I think the translation is well done. The cover looks the same in English. The Mountains Sing tells an enveloping, multi-generational tale of the Tran family, set against the backdrop of the Vietnam War. Tran Du Lon was born in 1920, was forced to flee her family farm with her 6 children during the land reform as the communist government rose in the north. Years later in Hanoi, her young granddaughter Huong comes of age as her parents and uncles head off down to Ho Chi Minh Trail to fight in a conflict that will tear not just her beloved country but her family apart. Vivid, gripping, and steeped in the language and traditions of Vietnam, The Mountains Sing brings to life the human costs of this conflict from the point of view of the Vietnamese people themselves, while showing us the true power of kindness and hope. I really thought that this sounds super interesting. It is translated from English, which I usually prefer not to do. I usually like to read in the language that it's written. I might look if I can find an audiobook to read this with in English whilst reading the hard copy in German. I'm super grateful to the publisher for sending this to me because I'm quite intrigued and I actually really like the cover a lot. It's kind of pulling me in. I like it. I think that goes on my top shelf. Well, it's gonna be read pretty soon anyways because I need to review it. So, and for this one I'm unhauling the 5 love languages. This was a fun read, interesting, very quick to get through. It's something that's probably a good discussion point, but I'm done. We have Adulthood Rites in the Mail. This is the second in Lilith's Brood novel. I loved the first one, and the first one also was so beautiful and so good. After nuclear war, something has destroyed all of humankind, and we had aliens who kind of froze all of humanity, and now it's starting to wake them up. And they have their own motive why they're doing it, but we're following this one person who woke up and is now supposed to help wake up the rest. Things go wrong because people get suspicious and people think that there's other things behind, and people doubt things, and people doubt the wrong things and not the things that they should be doubting, and so much goodness in the first one. This one's bigger too, isn't it? Octavia E. Butler's writing is so good, and Dawn so far is my favorite, and I cannot wait to dive into Adulthood Rites. For this one I'm unhauling Zeit für Träume. Really enjoyed this, and this copy looks brand new, even though I read it, and I really enjoyed it for some reason. I also really like the cover for some reason. Bye! And then the second book that was in the mail is from the Traveling Book Project. So it is Where the Crawdads Sing. I have heard so much about this book, and I've heard a lot of good things about this book, and then recently I heard a lot of bad things about the author, which I, to my embarrassment, what's the right word, I have not looked into enough. I'm definitely looking into it before reading it. I will go and read it because I'm not supporting the author by lending this book from somebody in the Traveling Book Project, and I can just go and make my own mind and understand the controversy about it. I think there's something about this being a white person having stepped over a black people to then write about the black person's experience or something, but something just sounded a little bit off. I'm not going into this too positively until I've done my research, but I also want to know what all the buzz is about. It's selected for Reese's Book Club. It's a bestseller, and that doesn't mean anything if something behind it is wrong, but I personally prefer to fully understand the criticism before jumping on a cancellation train. I'm very hesitant about this, but at the same time I want to understand what the problem is fully, but I'm pretty sure there is one. So let's see how this goes. Let's see how it goes. For this one, I am unhauling Bloodleaf. I have not read this. I think I have 2 copies. This is the Shelf Love Crate edition with a signed book plate, selling it on eBay. I'm going to be more careful about some of these books now, unhauling them, because they might fetch a little bit of a price. Oh, the lighting's gonna be tough with this sunlight. I hope you can see okay. I have 2 books moving in. The first one is Anathem by Neil Stevenson. I just finished Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson, and I'm blown away. And I found this book in a secondhand bookstore in Berlin for a few bucks, and it says on the front, the only catch to reading a novel as imposingly magnificent as this is that for the next few months, everything else seems small and obvious by comparison. Ooh! That is a promise, isn't it? That is exactly why I picked it up. I loved Neil Stephenson's writing. It was very hard sci-fi, it was very scientific, but without completely disengaging a non-scientific mind. And I have a lot of respect for that. This is a big chunker. We have like almost 1,000 pages, so it is intimidating, but there seems to be a lot of goodness around this. So what I found really interesting is the Los Angeles Times says about this: a ripping good yarn about philosophy. Fiction that expertly ranges from social satire to adventure yarn to lucid explications of concepts such as configuration space is rare indeed. Stevenson has done something remarkable in this novel, which is to make the resolution of a venerable philosophical debate essential to the unfolding of his story. These kind of tidbits make me super intrigued. I don't want to know anything about what's happening in it. I just think that this is going to have an impact on me, and understanding Neil Stephenson's writing style from the other novel. I think he wrote this after this one, so I hope it's already there, but it just was an epic story that felt well researched, that felt logical but exciting at the same time, and very approachable. So I'm super excited about this. And then we have this one. This is wrapped up, says 4cc, and this one I think is still what they promised me in my birthday box that I got in May, but that was ordered but hadn't arrived yet, and finally in Berlin I saw somebody who was able to give it to me, and yay! An Unkindness of Ghosts. I had this super high on my wish list, and I'm super pumped for this. Oh, I love this. It has this like waxy feel. I don't know why I'm so drawn to this waxy feel. And just like completely perfect timing, because this book has been picked for the book of the month for the Interstellar book club in October. So that's perfect timing. Yes, I might have mentioned that I would love to have it picked, and then a lot of people jumped on the train because this just sounds so good. Aster has little to offer folks in the way of rebuttal when they call her ogre and free. She's used to the names, she only wishes there was more truth to them. If she were truly a monster, she'd be powerful enough to tear down the walls around her until nothing remains of her world. So Aster lives in the low-deck slums of the HSS Matilda, a space vessel organized much like the antebellum South. For generations, Matilda has ferried the last of humanity to a mythical promised land. On its way, the ship's leaders have imposed harsh moral restrictions and deep indignities on dark-skinned sharecroppers like Aster. Embroiled in a grudge with a brutal overseer, Aster learns there may be a way to improve her lot if she's willing to sow the seeds of civil war. I'm super intrigued by this, and yes, that's all I want to say. Yes, and please let this be good. To my mother and her mother all the way back to Eve. Pumped. For this one, I'm unhauling my Red Queen limited edition. I don't know why I kept this, got this, kept this. I really enjoyed the Red Queen, but do I enjoy it enough to keep it on my shelf? No, it's had to make room for books that I love more. Got a heavy package. I know what it is. There's only one book that I'm expecting that is this big and heavy, and that is Brandon Sanderson's Oathbringer, which I'm going to be reading not only as part of the Readalong. I think there's two Brandon Sanderson read-alongs at this point that I both participate in. And in November we're reading Oathbringer, and also this is a traveling book. So person sent me some tea and some porridge. I love blueberry yogurt porridge. That is perfect. So gonna take this on my business trip that I'm leaving for tomorrow. That's perfect timing. I'm gonna keep this. This is perfect fit. Like, did you buy this box for this book? This is a heavy one. Love the cover. I don't think I've seen this cover before. I have like the white cover that's split in two. Oh my gosh, look at all these comments. There's already so many comments. We have 5 people who've read it before me, and I love when pages look like this. I don't know if you can see this well. I'm a big fan of this series. I think that this is potentially my favorite series by Brandon Sanderson. I'm unhauling both of These Violent Delights. I have read this copy. This is the Fairy Loot copy with beautifully pink sprayed edges. And this is the Owl Crate edition, which is still sealed. Trying to sell both of these, so bye-bye. But careful, bye-bye. This one just arrived, and that is Nalo Hopkinson's Midnight Robber. I don't know anything about this, but I have been in the, was it the slow read? No, this was during the Sister Sci-Fi graphic novel book club. We discussed House of Whispers, which is written by Nalo Hopkinson and is in the Neil Gaiman Sandman universe. I wasn't able to fully grasp that because I didn't know the universe. Potentially that was one of the reasons. But somebody said that the author is amazing. And this is one of the books they recommended to start with, and one out of 2 books, and I looked at this cover, I looked at the description, it sounded like exactly what I wanted. The Seattle Times says it's complex, clearly evoked characters, haunting descriptions of exotic planets, and a stirring story. So it's carnival time, and the Caribbean colonized planet of Toussaint is celebrating with music, dance, and pageantry. Masked midnight robbers waylay revelers with brandished weapons and spellbinding words. To young Tantan, the robber queen is simply a favorite costume to wear at the festival until her power-corrupted father commits an unforgivable crime. Suddenly, both father and daughter are thrust into the brutal world of her new halfway tree. Her monstrous creatures from folklore are real, and the humans are violent outcasts in the wild. Tantan must reach into the heart of myth and become the robber queen herself, for only the robber queen's legendary powers can save her life and set her free. I'm hoping for this to just be amazing. I love sci-fi, I love fantasy. I'm sometimes out when it gets too abstract and too creative, so I'm hoping that this stays within the stuff that I love, because it sounds like it could be, but it go either way. Another careful bye-bye is Aurora Rising, which is the Illumicrate edition, which goes, I think, for a lot, and that's why I'm unhauling it, to be very open and honest. I don't need a collector's edition, other people are looking for it, so bye-bye. Nisi Shawl's Ever Fair. I thought I got a different cover, but I'm not mad at it. It's actually a cute cover. I don't remember the cover that I had in mind, but I feel like the title, it looks like it's self-published or something, but I love the imagery. Heard a lot about Nisi Shawl. There's going to be, I think, a chat with the author organized by Sister Sci-Fi, and they talked about something about the author they talked about during the graphic novel book club, and I got really intrigued and I wanted to dive into that author. This is a Nebula Award finalist, a Locus Award for Best First Novel finalist, a Campbell Award finalist, Tiptree Award honor list, Tor.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble Best Science Fiction Fantasy of 2016. Ever Fair, the brilliant first novel by acclaimed short story writer Nisi Shawl, potently explores the question of what might have come of Belgium's disastrous colonization of the Congo if the native populations had access to advanced technology. I think that's a super intriguing premise. I love the kind of what-if stories. It's intriguing when it is about a time and an area and a space that I don't know much about, because I can't put it in relation, so I might have to study a little bit up on what history was like. But I love the thought concept of like, what would happen if they had advanced technology? In Charles' eloquently explored vision, told by a multiplicity of historically silenced voices, land purchased from King Leopold II is set aside as an imaginary utopia for native populations of the Congo and former slaves returning from abroad. It will be nearly impossible to keep this land their own, yet the citizens of Everfair are determined. This speculative masterpiece thereby reframes the notorious atrocities of Leopold's reign into a marvelous and exciting exploration of the possibilities inherent in a turn of history, and gives inspiring new insight onto an often ignored period of history. Love it. I'm here for it. It sounds like exactly my type of book. For this one, I'm unhauling The Lost Apothecary. I really enjoyed this one. It's the Once Upon a Book Club book. I think it comes with a signed book plate. It does, and some book club stuff. I enjoyed this book. I adore the cover, but it's red, so bye-bye. I am in love with OEB. Octavia E. Butler is my queen of sci-fi. I really enjoyed the Pattern Master series, but when I read Dawn, I was like, yes, that's where it's at. I'm like, yes. And I haven't read Kindred yet because I joined the slow read after that. Kindred is the first one that the group read, so I joined with Wild Seed, and I need to take some time and just dive into this one. That's what I'm trying to do in October. Really looking forward to reading some more Octavia Butler, although I really want to continue the adulthood rights. I want to continue with the story of Lilith, but let's do Kindred first, because we're gonna continue Lilith in November. All right, Love the cover too, by the way. Although I think I love the other covers, the Pattern Master and Brood of Lilith, the covers even more. But I'm happy with this. Coming to a few books that I haven't read, and I'm purely unhauling because I can get some money for them and I'm not sure if I'm going to get to them anytime soon, and I can still read them on audiobook if I feel like them. They're just the type of book that should go to a collector and not collect dust. So the first one is The Prison Healer. I really like this copy. I really love this sprayed edges Fairy Loot edition. Haven't read this yet, so probably gonna get to it on audiobook if I still am interested. And in here we have Creative Confidence, Unleashing the Creative Potential Within Us All. Why are there like some fatty prints on it? Some like fatty fingerprints. Looks kind of, I probably can't even see it, but it looks kind of disgusting. I think I didn't get like a new book. Let's double check if I got it new, because if I did, I'm not okay with these. Like, you can even, like, you can literally see fingerprints. Anywho, creativity and innovation are like muscles. The more we use them, the stronger they get. As kids, we were all creative, but over time, so many of us were discouraged in our creative endeavors and eventually focused our energies on more traditional pursuits. I studied a creative thing. I studied communication design, graphic design with I didn't graduate in it, but I studied it for 7 semesters. So after that, kind of for some reason I stopped being creative mostly. I think the most creative I'm being is here on YouTube. So I'm trying to unleash my creative confidence for work again, and this is a book that was recommended by my boss, so I am super intrigued. Unhauled goes for Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I have another copy still here that I'm going to prioritize reading and selling this one. Next, we have The Culture Map, How People Think, Lead and Get Things Done, Breaking Through the Invisible Boundaries of Global Business. I'm very interested in organizational psychology, especially the impact of different cultures and different regions, and how the way that we live and grow up potentially impacts our perception on things. So I'm super interested. Again, another book that was recommended at work, so I am super excited to dig into this. And this one's actually brand new and actually looks new, so that's good. Next one is another one that I just checked if I can catch a price for it and put it up, and it's sold, so that's why I'm unhauling it. I actually love these like glittering pages. I'm not into like mermaids, and it's very unlikely that I'm gonna get to it, so let's just say goodbye to it and get what we can. The Design Thinking Toolbox, which is again something I am getting for work. We are focusing heavily on design thinking, and I just want to dive a little bit into understanding some theoretics around it, aside from what we are already testing and trying and doing. Just want to expand my horizon, and the way that this book is laid out, it just looked very appealing to my designer mind, and I'm just super intrigued. I don't know much about it. Yeah, let's dig into this soon. Last but not least, from the books that I'm unhauling because I can catch a price for them, is Kingdom of the Wicked. I think I sold this for 180 euros. So it goes to somebody who really wants this much more than I do. It's a beautiful edition. I love the way that these sprayed edges are done. I just don't think it's the type of book for me necessarily. I'm just not into like witchy topics. I'm not into spooky topics, and I think that this is feeding into that. So let's give this a home where it's appreciated. And one more package. And in here we have The Great Mental Models, and this is the General Thinking Concepts Volume 1, and you can see a little toolbox on there. The quality of your thinking depends on the models that are in your head. Super intrigued. Again, I am very, very interested in the psychology, in like the industrial organizational psychology and how things are interconnecting. I don't remember if this was recommended at work or if this just popped up on my timeline and I just got super intrigued. It obviously doesn't have a blurb that I can share with you. This is a very interesting way of doing chapters. The title is on a more like cardboard and it does not go along the whole page. So that is very interesting choice of design. You can probably not see it, but when you look at it from the top, you can very closely see how the red cardboard thingies are dividing chapters that are actually looking quite similar in size. The map is not the territory. And then we have circle of competence, what you know and what you think you know. Ooh, that's interesting. And what don't you know? I'm not genius, I'm smart in spots, but I stay around those spots. First principles thinking. I don't know what's the matter with people. They don't learn by understanding, they learn by some other way, by rote or something. The knowledge is so fragile. Thought experiment. Creativity is intelligence, having fun. Ooh, I like that. Super intrigued. Books moving out in October. I finished with the Crawdads thing. This book is owned by Doro and it's going back to her, and that's why I'm not throwing it, because it's going back to somebody and I'm not owning it, so I'm just putting it to the side. Sisters of the Resistance. DNF'd it, even though it was a good book. Bye. If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. Didn't read past the first chapter. It's a romance. Bye. Finished the Pacific Crest Trail Killer. I'm probably going to put this in a free library or something because it is a review sample, not for sale. I feel a little bit bad about it because it got signed by the author and the author actually wrote for Cornelia my full name, which I really do appreciate, and this made me kind of want to keep the book, but I don't have room for keeping books. As much as it pains me and as much as I appreciate the author doing that in a review sample, I'm gonna have to let it go. Bye. This was interesting. I don't know what to say about this. Watch my wrap up. This is moving on to the next person in the traveling book project. For this one, I am balancing out with Where the Crawdads Sing, which is moving on to another person in the traveling book project. This one's moving out because I got it twice and that doesn't count. That was not for me and it's moving straight out. Again, another book that you might want to see my wrap-up for. I think it's the October part 2 that this is going to be in, and read it and it's moving right out. And another book that I read in October and that is just moving on to somebody else in the traveling book project. Have a good journey. Bye. I'm balancing that out with If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. Super cute romance. I think there's a really cool message behind this with body positivity. We have a Cinderella retelling with a girl who's a shoemaker and her bad stepmom is the executive producer of something that you could potentially compare to The Bachelor type of reality TV dating show, and there's a slot opening up and that needs to be filled, and the evil stepmom is like, just like, hey, you do it, and she is all of a sudden like in the public eye, etc., as a bigger girl, and oh, guess what, she all of a sudden becomes a body positivity icon overnight. And yeah, obviously she's gonna fall in love with Prince Charming, like, I mean, come on. So yeah, super cute, but it's a romance, so bye-bye. Sisters of the Resistance. Sisters of the Resistance is a historical fiction playing in Paris at the end of the Second World War and after the Second World War. And this is pretty much about women being like in a spy network. This should have been my cup of tea. This should have been exactly what I want, because I, for the past couple of years, have been loving historical fiction that are not based on like a romance, but are more kind of teaching me about history and about things that happened in different times, but for some reason I couldn't connect. I am balancing that out with A Dangerous Alliance, an ostentatious romance. I got this in a book box and I even got a little pin with it, and I love the cover. I have a signed book plate for this and everything, but guess what? I'm never gonna read it because it is a romance that plays in 1817, I think, England, which is like the worst romance for me. It's like the worst you can do in terms of romance, because any setting is something that I don't like, but put it in that like Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice setting and I just no thank you. I do understand that this could be your jam and you would probably love this book, Because if that's the type of book that you like to read, if that type of genre is something that you like, you might love this book. But I'm never gonna read it because it's not my thing. It's not a bad book, just not my thing. So yeah, no. And we have a German book that I'm balancing that out with. Again, a book that kind of interested me. I got it in a book box and I kept it so far because I thought, well, maybe at one point I'm gonna read it. But I'm just gonna have to be real here. I probably won't ever get to it. It is kind of a love story-esque. It seems like there's a love story woven into it, but basically it's a health thing where the main protagonist is battling with a sickness where they will be losing their memory more and more. And they're pretty young, it seems. The protagonist is trying to get there, like, do the best, graduate, like, best from school and leave the city. But yeah, she has a sickness that makes her forget stuff, and now she's starting to write down because she never wants to forget that she lived her life until the very end. That sounds super cute, but I'm not into this right now, and I don't think that I will be over the next couple of months. I think it probably is a really good book. I do love the cover. The title, Was von mir bleibt, means what remains of me. A super nice title for like the health issue that this is. I'm not gonna read it, so I'm just gonna forward this to somebody who most likely will. Another one that I most likely won't be reading, and I'm unhauling unread. And this one pains me because this one was on my wish list for until I got it, pretty much. And I got this as a gift. I feel so bad about unhauling it unread. If I ever want to get to it, I know that this is going to be available on one of the audiobooks. And if I would have read it, I probably also would have read it as an audiobook anyways. I'm not into like YA thrillers, YA murder mysteries. For some reason, they don't get to a thrilling level that I need from that genre. And I just cannot connect to that genre enough. I did read one of this like series, Two of Us something. I'm not sure what the name of the book was. And I did enjoy it, and that's what made me want to read this one. But did I really enjoy it enough to prioritize this type of book over any other book that where I'm really into the genre? No. So knowing that somebody has this on their wish list that I can forward this to makes this decision easy. Bye-bye. Now, we have hit that point in the video where we're not done unhauling. Yay! I'm so glad that we are, honestly, we're really good. We have a couple more books that are lying next to me that are ready to get unhauled. I have also unhauled 4 books that I don't have physically with me anymore. The first one is 5-Star Billionaire Went Back to the Library. I thought I filmed that, but for some reason I can't find that clip anymore. And then I unhauled Die Staubchroniken, A Man Called Ovi, and Red Rising. All 3 of those are traveling books, so they have been moving on to the next person reading. Next, I'm unhauling Matched. I enjoyed it. It was nice enough. I'm definitely going to continue with the series, but I don't need a physical copy. Unhauling Foul is Fair. I thought I would love it. I didn't. Unhauling The Humans. I really enjoyed that, but guess what? I don't need to keep it. And I'm unhauling How To, which is a traveling book, so I'm not gonna throw it. Unhauling Sternenscherben. This was not for me. Romance. And I'm unhauling Wings of Shadow. This is gonna go on a journey with a traveling book project. Let's be careful, this is a thick one. And last but not least, we're unhauling A Deadly Education. I really enjoyed that, but it doesn't need to live in my home. I enjoyed it, and now it's time to let you go. Bye-bye. This is it for today. Can you believe it? If I counted right, we have almost unhauled 3 times as much as I've hauled. That is a success, everyone! Ladies and gentlemen, and whatever you identify as, that is a success. A huge success. Go on, celebrate me. Come on. I feel like I need celebrating, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. I did it. I feel very accomplished. And let's hope we can continue on that trend. See you next month. Bye. Just love it.